Ships and naval facilities were struck at the start of an offensive in Hawaii in 1941. The event took place at Pearl Harbor and involved air forces launching a surprise attack on the United States Pacific base. Dr. Louis Sayre, an orthopedic surgeon, examines a patient's spinal curvature before applying the method known as strapping in the 1870s. This procedure was used to treat spinal deformities with gradual correction. Alan B. Shepard is positioned inside the Freedom 7 capsule during the United States' first manned space mission in 1961. The interior space was extremely limited, with panels and instruments surrounding the astronaut. Newly built F-4U Corsair and F-6F Hellcat fighters are being prepared for shipment to the Pacific Theater in 1944. These aircraft were crucial in air operations during the final phase of the war in the region. Harold Edgerton captured the onset of an atomic explosion in 1952 using high-speed cameras. The image shows a unique visual formation that was later nicknamed the atomic yin-yang for its split circular shape. In 1865, officers gathered in a parlor to negotiate the surrender terms that would end the United States Civil War. The meeting took place in Appomattox, Virginia, marking the official conclusion of the conflicts between the North and the South. A photographer balances on the side of the Empire State Building in New York City in 1936, holding a large format camera. With no visible safety equipment, he captures the urban landscape from one of the tallest buildings in the world at the time. Lieutenant Walter Tuning runs to assist a pilot after an F-6F Hellcat crashed into flames on the deck of the USS Enterprise in 1943. Despite the danger, he managed to open the cockpit and pull the pilot to safety. Soviet female snipers appear in 1945 during the final moments of World War II. Together, they had a total of 775 confirmed kills, serving in both defensive and offensive operations on the Eastern Front. Charlie Chaplin returns to England in 1921, after leaving the country 9 years earlier in search of opportunities in the United States. Born in London, he experienced extreme poverty in childhood before achieving worldwide fame in silent film. The first Boeing 747 was unveiled to the public in 1968 during a ceremony at the assembly plant in Everett, Washington. The aircraft impressed with its size and capacity to carry hundreds of passengers over long distances. Soldiers march in single file toward the front lines during World War I. The image was captured in 1917 by photographer Frank Hurley on the Western Front. They march along a narrow path surrounded by devastated terrain. 4 veterans appeared together in a historic photograph representing United States conflicts between 1861 and 1945. Each served in a different war: the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, and World War II. The Flying Scotsman departs King S. Cross Station in London during its first non-stop journey in 1928. The locomotive traveled to Edinburgh, Scotland, and became a symbol of British railway engineering. Roland Free speeds across the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah in 1948 wearing only swimwear and sneakers to reduce drag. He broke the American motorcycle speed record, reaching over 150 miles per hour on a Vincent HRD. President Jimmy Carter is photographed jumping over a fence in a relaxed moment, showing the Secret Service how to do it properly. The scene took place at an airport with a United Airlines plane in the background, likely during an official trip in the 1970s. A giant anchor is transported from central England in 1911. Its destination was the shipyard where the Titanic was being completed. The equipment passed through British towns before reaching the port for installation aboard the ship. The last barracks at the Bergen-Belsen camp were burned in 1945 as a symbolic act of closure and cleansing of the site. As the flames consumed the building, a silent tribute was paid to the victims. In 1956, a Pan American Airways plane was used to transport a 5-megabyte hard disk. The equipment was part of an IBM storage system and weighed about 2,000 pounds, requiring special handling during transport. Children from the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood in New York City jump into the Hudson River to cool off on a hot summer day. Without accessible pools, the river served as a recreational alternative and relief from the heat in poorer urban areas. During the Great Freeze of 1947, the Saddleworth region in the West Riding of Yorkshire was covered by heavy snowstorms and extreme temperatures. Roads and homes were isolated for weeks, with local communities facing supply shortages. The Apple satellite, India S First, was manually moved by scientists and technicians before its launch in the early 1980s. The structure was carried on a simple cart, showcasing ingenuity and limited resources at the time. A Viking ship built around the year 820 was transported through the streets of Oslo, Norway in 1926. The vessel had been excavated and carefully preserved for public display. The event drew significant attention from local residents. 2 East German workers reinforce a 15-foot-high structure by placing shards of glass on top. The image was captured in the early 1960s during the construction of the barrier that divided Berlin. Passengers relax in a lounge car of a Union Pacific Streamliner train during the 1950s in the United States. The space offered comfortable sofas, large windows, and onboard service for long-distance travel. Case Study House. Number 22 was documented in Los Angeles in 1960 as part of an experimental modern architecture program in the United States. Designed by Pierre Koenig, the house sits atop a hill with a steel frame and glass walls. Andy Warhol displays marks on his abdomen following delicate surgery in the United States. He underwent the procedure in the late 1960s after an incident that deeply affected his life. The visible scars are the result of a lengthy recovery process. Inventor Adolf Whitman presents the occultist robot, also called Barbarossa, in 1909. The machine was designed to walk, talk, sing, and laugh, astonishing audiences with its advanced mechanical functions for the time. A merchant displays tools at his stall in the Ravivar Bazaar in Ahmedabad, India. The market operates on Sundays and is known for its wide variety of used goods and handcrafted items. Workers operate on the upper walkways of Tower Bridge in London in 1913. They were performing maintenance and structural adjustments on the famous Bascule Bridge over the River Thames, using scaffolding and ropes at great heights. A Chicago North Side elevated train was involved in an incident in 1953 between Harrison Street and Wabash Avenue. Part of the cars went off the elevated tracks, creating a dramatic scene in the city center. The Medicine Man visited farms offering natural remedies and homemade formulas in early 20th century rural United States. He traveled by wagon or horseback, carrying bottles, tonics, and promises of relief for various ailments. Soldiers in training learned to drive using improvised simulators in East Africa in 1943. Each wooden frame has a steering wheel and pedals to teach basic controls before accessing real vehicles. An instructor supervises the group outdoors. A farmer leads 2 horses while plowing the land with a modified wagon in 1960. The scene shows agricultural practices still common in rural areas, even with the advance of machinery. Israeli sailors armed with Uzi submachine guns appeared during the 1960s. They were stationed aboard naval vessels during a period of heightened vigilance and military preparedness in the region. Aircrew, the mascot of the Royal Air Force Flight School in Cressy, appears in 1943. He was part of the daily life of cadets and instructors, bringing levity to the training environment during a time of great challenges. An RAF Short Sunderland seaplane crosses the Thames near Tower Bridge in London in 1951. The aircraft, mainly used during World War II, was known for its patrol and rescue missions. A girl enjoys an ice cream cone while playing in front of a royal guard in Sweden during the 1970s. The soldier remains motionless, following service protocol despite the child's playful teasing. An unusual accessory was created in 1960 for the Chevrolet Corvair, a baby cradle attached directly to the dashboard. The idea was to allow parents to drive with their child in view, something that would be considered unsafe today. A United States Navy chaplain helps an elderly woman cross an area during an operation in Vietnam around 1968. A couple converses using a courting stick in New York City in 1905. This long wooden tube was used by young people who wanted to talk in privacy under family supervision. It allowed dialogue between rooms without direct contact. Men of the Apache Nation sit in front of a railroad car in 1886 after being detained during conflicts between indigenous peoples and the United States government. They await transfer to sites designated by military authorities. A Scottish soldier has his traditional uniform inspected by a civilian in front of the Colosseum in Rome in 1944. The scene takes place during World War II when Allied troops were stationed in Italy after the city's liberation. A British civil defense officer holds a kitten rescued from rubble in England in 1939. Despite being injured, the animal survived a difficult moment early in the conflict. The man, wearing uniform and helmet, demonstrates care extended to animals as well. Children take part in a gas mask drill in Windsor, United Kingdom, during evacuation preparations in wartime. The activity was part of civil defense training to face potential chemical emergencies. Students take part in an artistic assembly line in New York City in 1942, reproducing posters used in visual campaigns during World War II. The work was part of the national effort to support public communication and civilian mobilization. Young people have fun in an arcade in Hollywood, California, in August 1982. Electronic game machines were popular among teenagers and adults, with titles like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Galaga dominating the arcades. Gustaf Adolf, King of Sweden, was involved in an unexpected car incident in 1946 near Stockholm. Since then, the location has been known as Kungens Kurva, meaning the King's Curve. The name became a landmark of the region. The Ladby Viking ship was buried around the year 925 in Denmark. It served as a tomb for a local king, accompanied by 11 horses, 4 dogs, and various valuable items. A crowd gathers in downtown Deadwood, South Dakota, in 1888. The streets are decorated with flags and banners for a parade, reflecting the festive spirit of a community that thrived on gold mining. A youth helps his companion lace up roller skates in Tokyo in 1959. They prepare to skate together, reflecting urban customs and typical post-war Japanese social gatherings. The scene conveys a moment of care and companionship between the two. Sophia Loren appears as a young model in Italy during the 1950s, at the start of her career. Her talent and presence quickly caught the attention of directors and photographers, paving the way for her future international film career. Hattie Tom, a young member of the Chiricahua Apache Nation, was photographed in 1899 in the United States. She wore traditional clothing and handmade accessories, representing the culture of her people. A Coca-Cola beverage truck was created in the 1930s in the United States. It served as a mobile drink source, with taps dispensing soda directly from the vehicle. The goal was to promote the brand creatively at events and on the streets. Performers from the P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus are seen gathered in New York City in 1924. The group included acrobats, jugglers, musicians, and other popular entertainers of the era. They traveled across the country presenting acts that drew large crowds. One of the first female pilots trained by the Swedish Air Force appears in this early 1980s image. She wore the official uniform and flew military aircraft, marking a significant achievement in a field previously dominated by men. Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon were photographed together in 1985, during one of the most notable periods of the singer's career. Ozzy was known for his unique rock style, while Sharon also served as his manager. Kim Cattrall was photographed in the 1970s, at the start of her career in the United States. She was still a young actress, beginning to appear in films and television productions. American General George S. Patton was photographed in North Africa in 1943 during a major military operation. He led United States troops in a strategic campaign against Axis forces in the region. Patton was known for his strict discipline and strong leadership. A crowded double-decker bus travels down a busy London street in 1928. The vehicle was packed with passengers, reflecting the urban growth of the British capital. A smiling young woman wears a traditional kimono during New Year's celebrations in Japan in 1914. The holiday is one of the most important in the country, marked by special clothing, traditional foods, and visits to temples. Grace Kelly appears smiling in a 1955 photograph while enjoying a relaxed moment with an ice cream cone. By that year, she was already an acclaimed Hollywood actress and had received the Best Actress Award from the American film industry. The Golden Gate Bridge was inaugurated in May 1937 in San Francisco, United States. During the celebration, planes flew between the towers as thousands of pedestrians crossed the structure for the first time. A couple looks at television sets in a store in the United States in 1965. The salesperson is showcasing the new color models, a major innovation at the time. A couple looks at television sets in a store in the United States in 1965. The salesperson is showcasing the new color models, a major innovation at the time. The sign above highlights the breakthrough that was changing how people watched programs at home. A Bavarian boy poses happily holding his camera in 1910 in southern Germany. At that time, photographic equipment was still new and required skill and patience to use. The warship Redoubtable appears in dry dock in France around 1875. It was the first steel-hulled warship in the world, marking a significant shift in naval engineering. A group of private school students appears on a New York City train in 1970. They wear traditional uniforms and chat during the ride, reflecting urban youth routines of that era. An African-American man watches a public gathering in Jackson, Mississippi in 1950. He stands alone in the crowd at an event marked by intense social tensions of the time. In the early 20th century, open-air schools became common in Northern Europe. They were established to help prevent tuberculosis, a disease that spread easily in enclosed spaces. Sir Sean Connery appears as a competitor in the 1953 Mr. Universe contest in London. Before becoming famous as an actor, he competed in the amateur category, representing Scotland with notable physique and stage presence. Boeing Clipper seaplanes float on Lake Washington in Seattle in 1938. These large aircraft were designed for long-distance international travel, taking off and landing on the water. John F. Kennedy appears in this 1939 image at the age of 22. At the time, he was a college student traveling to various countries, gathering information for his future book. Kennedy showed great interest in politics and international affairs. Gary Anderson was photographed in 1970, the year he created the famous recycling symbol at the age of 23. He developed the design as part of a U.S. contest to promote environmental awareness. A streetcar heads toward New Orleans in 1955, crossing busy city streets. This form of transport was common in the southern United States and was part of daily life for residents and visitors. The streetcars helped connect historic neighborhoods with the city center. A woman poses in front of her home in Värmland, Sweden, in 1916. The building is made of wood, typical of the Swedish rural region, with simple, functional details. She wears traditional clothing of the era, reflecting the local lifestyle. First-century Roman steps appear to the right of the Sphinx in Egypt. During the Roman Empire period, the area was a destination visited by travelers interested in ancient Egyptian culture. These steps facilitated access to the monument. Two women care for a dog in a grooming salon in New York City in 1925. The space is equipped with dryers, rollers, and hanging wires, reflecting the animal styling methods used at the time. The pet is at the center of the scene, receiving special attention. A mechanic works on the Dixie model, the first car produced by BMW, in 1928. Based on a British design, the vehicle was assembled in Germany and marked the company's entry into the automotive sector. London's oldest timber-framed facade combines elements from different eras. The stone base and arch date to the 13th century, while the main structure was built in the 16th century. A woman hangs clothes to dry in the gardens of the Tower of London in 1951. Despite being one of England's most famous historic sites, the tower still housed residences for staff and their families in the post-war period. Young Freddie Summer appears at King's Cross Station in London in 1939, moments before his relocation during wartime. Like many other children, he was evacuated from the city to rural areas for safety. Basket Jim, a porter in Covent Garden, London, became known for his ability to carry up to 20 baskets stacked on his head. Working in the bustling market, he assisted traders and shoppers with impressive strength and balance. A man carefully carries a large cactus through the streets of London in a curious, unusual scene. The spiky plant requires extra caution to avoid any direct contact. A woman poses in front of the Siegfried statue at the Bismarck Memorial in Berlin around 1911. With an elegant posture and confident expression, she mimics a self-portrait in an era before portable cameras as we know them today. One of the earliest photographic records of a tornado was taken in Kansas, United States. The image shows the swirling formation touching the ground, highlighting nature's power in an era without modern warning systems. The fight between Jack Burke and Andy Bowen went down in history as the longest recorded boxing match. Held in 1893, the bout lasted 110 rounds, over 7 hours and 19 minutes, with no winner declared. The interior of the 1986 Oldsmobile Incas was designed as a futuristic concept in the United States. The dashboard featured digital controls, a yoke-style steering wheel, and 4 swivel seats. A lone fisherman prepares to cast his net on a Hawaiian beach at night in 1948. Lit only by natural light and a lantern, he follows a local tradition passed down through generations, using simple and effective techniques. A Messerschmitt Me-110 made an emergency landing near King's Cross Station in London in 1940. The aircraft was damaged during a mission and came down in an urban area, drawing the attention of residents and local authorities. Army engineers take a tea break beside a crater in London in 1940. The scene occurred during a period of intense air raids, while teams worked on recovering the affected areas. Robin Williams performs as a mime in Central Park, New York City in 1974. Before fame, he delighted audiences with expressive gestures and physical comedy, showcasing the talent that would later make him one of entertainment's greats.